Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and let's be honest, you already enjoyed the intro, so let's just cut straight to it. Subscribe to my channel. But anyway, today this is going to be a comparison between wearing straps for your lifts and not wearing straps for your lifts. I do want to get right into this one, but first, like I said, take 2 seconds to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AshMayPT, and also give the video a thumbs up whilst you're at it. Let's go. So, what are lifting straps? Well, they're really simple. They're lifting straps. Their purpose is to remove grip strength limitations and secure the bar into your hand. They do this by sitting on your wrists, they loop around the bar and lock it in place. So the weight will essentially be connected to your wrist and pull on your wrist rather than on your hand. Lifting straps come in a lot of different forms, and some of the most popular ones you'll see are lasso, figure of 8, single loop, and VersaGrips. VersaGrip style ones are... Now, all of these do the same thing. They're essentially the same, just different. So just experiment, see which you prefer the feel of, because they'll all feel slightly different, but they will achieve the same end goal. So like I say, experiment, find which you prefer the most. So we're going to start off with arguments for the use of lifting straps in the gym. And the first major point that comes to my mind, at least, is that they help you avoid the imbalance from deadlifting with an over-under grip. So an over-under grip is when you come up to a deadlift bar, one hand is going to go underneath supinated and one hand is going to come over the bar pronated like that. And that just helps stop the bar from wobbling, locks it into place, and you're going to be able to lift more weight like that for most people than if you did a double overhand grip like you might do with a lighter weight. Now, that's great, it's all good, and if you alternated every set, then that's fine. But let's be honest, nobody remembers to alternate. We have way more important things to think about. So what happens is that people are consistently pulling like this or like this, but they don't switch in between the two. And that's going to have a very subtle difference on where in your back you are recruiting the most musculature from. Some people are going to be engaging their lats more when they do this, but then on this side of their body, they're going to be getting more of the traps and the rhomboids. And yeah, over 1 or 2 workouts, obviously it's not going to make a difference. But over years, months, years and years of lifting, yeah, you're going to have some imbalances. And then one day you're accidentally going to swap hands or something like that, and you're going to hurt yourself. So that is a major positive for straps, because they'll allow you to lift even more weight than with an over-under grip, but you're still going to have that double over grip, which is going to be safer for you in terms of imbalance. The next positive is the obvious one, is that they allow you to use more weight. When you're doing things like rows and deadlifts and shrugs, all these heavy movements, your grip is likely going to give out before your back if you have a weak grip like most people do, and if you have a strong back like the big lads do. So because of that, when you strap in, you can use more weight and you'll be properly stimulating your back when you're in the gym, rather than just training your back until your grip fatigues and never really getting to those final stages of fatigue and failure for your back. So a great man once said, no straps, no traps. And I'll let you choose whether to believe that terminology or not. Another massive benefit of using lifting straps, which is personally why I use them for certain lifts, is that they help people get a better mind-muscle connection during an exercise, because you're not having to think about holding the weight. So I like to use the example of a Romanian deadlift. With a Romanian deadlift, that's putting a lot of emphasis onto really stretching out your hamstrings, but the problem is you are strong at this movement. It's a natural human movement, you can lift a lot of weight. So if I'm doing some high rep Romanian deadlifts, 12 to 15 reps, and I'm holding 80, 100 kilograms in my hand, by the end of it, I'm not thinking about my hamstrings, I'm thinking about my fingers and desperately trying to hold onto the bar so I can finish off those last few reps. Whereas if I whack on some straps, hold the bar, now I don't have to think about it. Now, throughout that whole set, all I have to think about is my hamstrings, and I feel it so much more when I use them. Same goes for things like walking lunges with dumbbells. You don't have to think about holding on. Shrugs for your traps. All of these kind of things, they allow you to connect to your muscles better. And if you have a better connection with your muscle, you're going to be able to stimulate it more. And if you stimulate your muscle more, you'll build more muscle. Done. And then the last positive for straps that I personally can see is that in some ways they can actually help reduce injury risk. And the reason for this is people get sweaty, like really sweaty. And let's say you're doing deadlifts or barbell rows or something like that, and you're doing, let's just use deadlifts. Let's say you're doing a set of 10 on the deadlift. You're already a bit sweaty, it's a tough movement, it's a hot day outside. You get to your 6th rep and you're like, oh crap. Sweaty hands, mate. When your hands are sweaty, the bar is going to start to roll. Less grip. So as you get into your 7th rep, your 8th rep, your 9th rep, the bar is slowly slipping. You're not thinking about your deadlift technique anymore. You're thinking about holding onto that bar. Because if you drop that bar, that is embarrassing. It makes a big sound, everyone sees you. And now your deadlift form has gone out the window. So if you're thinking about your grip when you're doing a movement as technical as a deadlift, then you're likely going to do something wrong with the deadlift. And if you do something wrong with the deadlift, you're using a lot of weight, you're probably going to hurt yourself. One time or another, it's going to happen. And that is why straps can actually reduce injury risk, in my opinion. And now we are going to go on to the arguments against using straps. So the arguments for #NoStrapCrew. The main argument that anybody is going to throw at you that tells you not to use straps is because they train a muscular imbalance within your body. If you are always using straps to build a bigger, stronger back, to hold heavier weights when you train your legs, all these things, your grip is never going to catch up. If you never use straps, if you're #NoStrapGang, your grip, even if it's a limiting factor in year 1, 2 and 3, by year 4, 5, 6, 7, your grip is going to have developed and come a long way to the point where now you might have a bulletproof grip and it's not going to be fatiguing for those target muscles. Your grip has a lot of potential to be incredibly strong. It's just, it needs to be trained consistently and correctly. So if you're always using straps, that imbalance is always going to be there. And a lot of people say, if you can't pick something up, then don't. The next argument against using straps kind of doubles back on an argument for using straps, and it's about injury. Because I know I said that they can prevent injury, but they can also increase injury risk. They can also cause injury. And this is because when people put straps on, they think, oh my god, I can use as much weight as I want. And now suddenly they are slapping on plates either side. They're doing this when they're doing shrugs. Sweat is flying everywhere. Plates are being loaded on. And they are using way more weight than they should be. They're not even using their traps anymore. They're using the whole body. They're kind of jumping a little bit. It's getting weird. It's getting really weird. But I say all of that to basically say straps allow you to use more weight than you can control. So if you're not using them intelligently, if you're not using them to connect to the muscle, then you're going to be loading your muscles with more weight than your body is prepared for and can actually control. And if you deviate form by an inch or two, or you're holding hundreds of kilograms and you suddenly look to do a little twist to the side, you're getting snapped up, buddy. The third argument against using straps is that when you are using straps, it doesn't force you to engage your grip. And this is a problem because you might have heard the cue for bench pressing and movements like that to squeeze the bar, and there's a reason for that. When you're squeezing something as hard as possible, what that's going to do is it's going to tell your central nervous system to engage and turn on. And your central nervous system is basically a limiter for how much force it will let your body put out. If it doesn't feel safe and engaged, then it's not going to allow you to output your maximum amount of strength that you have access to. Basically, if you are wearing straps and you're not gripping the bar as possible, even though you can lift more weight, as in you can physically hang on to it, your muscles might not be able to produce as much force. Whereas if you take the straps off, really hold on to that bar, you might find you can actually do more weight simply because your muscles are going to be producing more force thanks to that CNS engaging from the tight grip. Tighter grip generates more tension. Tension generates force, and more force equals more weight. Easy. If you don't believe me, try tensing your body as hard as you can whilst leaving your hands relaxed. Doing it? Okay, now you've done that, remember how that felt? Now try tensing your whole body while squeezing your fists as hard as possible, and you will feel that you can produce a lot more force in those contractions in your body when your grip is tightened, and that's what's happening here. And the last argument against using straps, it's not coming from me, don't hate me if you disagree, but what I've heard people say is that straps aren't allowed in powerlifting. So if the best in the world don't need straps, why do you need straps, you skinny little... So, to summarise, lifting straps are great to avoid imbalances in certain situations. They're also going to help you to use more weight. You're going to be able to train muscles to true fatigue rather than grip fatigue. They can help you improve a mind-muscle connection during an exercise, and they can potentially reduce injury risk. However, on the flip side, arguments against the use of lifting straps, they eliminate the possibility for your grip to ever catch up with the strength of your other muscles. They train a grip imbalance. If you're using ego when using lifting straps, then they can cause more injury risk. They can limit force production from the CNS, and they aren't allowed in competitions. So those are all the reasons for and against the use of straps and all of that I can see anyway. If you have any other ideas, leave them in the comments and I'll respond to what I think about your opinion. But now I'm going to get on to how I recommend using straps. I think straps are a great tool to use in your training. However, just because you're allowed and can benefit from using straps, it doesn't mean you should use straps for everything. I called lifting straps a tool, and I used that word for a very good reason. Lifting straps are a tool. A hammer is a tool. You wouldn't get a hammer and go around hammering everything. You'd use it on something that needs to be hammered. And you should use and think of lifting straps the same way. Don't use lifting straps on everything. Don't go hammering them on everything. Just use the lifting straps when the lifting strap is needed. If you struggle to connect with your hamstrings when doing heavy Romanian deadlifts, throw on a strap. If you're doing sets of 15 on the lat pull down, and when you get to 15 you feel like your lats can just keep going but your grip is burning up, throw on some straps. And if you're doing walking lunges and your quads can walk for days but you just can't hold on anymore, throw on some straps. However, it's unlikely that every single set of your exercises are going to be like that. Maybe it's just those last set or two that you can't hold on anymore. So just use the straps for those last 1 or 2 sets. The first 2 sets where your grip was fine, don't use a strap. Whenever your grip isn't going to be a limiting factor, you do not need to wear a lifting strap. You want to stimulate your grip strength to be engaged and active as much as possible when it isn't going to limit your workout in other ways. So maybe you're doing deadlifts. Definitely use straps on your top set, your heaviest set of deadlifts. But don't use them on your warm-up. Man up, come on man. I also think that anybody that is using lifting straps needs to make sure you're using them for the right reasons. If you're just using lifting straps to add on some extra plates and throw some weight around, then you don't deserve the fabric that was used to create those straps. But if you're using them to control the weight slowly and feel the movement more, then you're using lifting straps right. Another really important point is that if you plan to compete in something like powerlifting, Only use what you're allowed to use in the competition and nothing else. If you can't use straps on the platform, don't use them in the gym. And lastly, if you do use lifting straps, especially if you use them quite often, I would recommend doing some direct grip training. These are going to be movements where the target is to train your grip until failure, rather than it being a limiting factor when you're trying to train other muscle groups. This will help you to need straps less over time, as the goal should always be to balance out that disparity between back strength and grip strength, or leg strength and grip strength, whichever it may be. So great examples of this would be reverse grip curls, heavy farmer walks, and snatch grip deadlifts, that kind of stuff. So some of the best exercises to use straps on, in my opinion. This is by no means an exhaustive list of every and only these movements that you can use lifting straps on. It's just the ones which I have found straps to be most beneficial for. But you as an individual, you might not need straps on these lifts, and that's a good thing. So like we've mentioned lots of times, the first one is going to be deadlifts. Then we've got barbell dumbbell shrugs. Anything that uses a snatch grip, Romanian deadlifts like we said, one arm dumbbell rows, any high rep lat pull downs or pull ups, and heavy walking dumbbell lunges. And that's it. As you can see, that's not really a big list, and that reflects how useful and how often straps should actually be used, if at all. And that's it for today, guys. All of the reasons I can see for why you should or shouldn't wear lifting straps. I personally think they're a great tool for the gym when used correctly, but a lot of people don't use them correctly. Use the information from this video to form your own opinion on whether they should or shouldn't be used, and then you can let me know and argue with me in the comment section between who is right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AshMayPT, and also give this video a thumbs up whilst you're at it. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, see you later, guys.